Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. So in this one, it's going to be probably a little bit of a longer video. I wanted to talk about something that came up yesterday, and I want to give my opinion on it because I don't think I have. I don't think I've talked about this enough, and I just want to give my opinion on it. Feel free to disagree. Okay, this is just my opinion on it. I understand both sides of the story as a Pacers fan, but the owner of the Indiana Pacers, Herb Simon, put out a statement, or I guess he was interviewed and said, "So long as I'm the owner of the Indiana Pacers, we will never tank." Now, I have my own opinions on owners getting involved in what happens with the team. Okay, like, I understand, like, maybe if her team has been absolutely horrendous for well over a decade, yeah, maybe there's a reason to intervene. However, on the flip side of the coin, I feel like sometimes owners can hold a team back from being successful, and Herb Simon is one of those guys. Herb Simon is one of those guys that he does not like to spend money. Historically, it's been like they don't like to go over the luxury tax. They don't like to go after big-name free agents, mostly because they can't. Indiana's not a big-name free agent destination. And he likes to get involved in things that he probably shouldn't be involved in. And I think to myself, if you're the Indiana Pacers and you're not a hot free agent destination, right? What is the only way you get a superstar player at that point? Through the NBA draft, right? So this brings up the subject of tanking, right? Let's talk about tanking, because the Indiana Pacers are a team that I think on the right year could benefit immensely from just 1 year of just horrendous basketball. And the reason I say that is because right now they have a pretty solid core, right? They have Chris Duarte, they got Bennedict Mathurin, Tyrese Halliburton has been amazing. Rumors are they're going after DeAndre Ayton. But believe it or not, there are Pacers fans out there who actually don't want DeAndre Ayton and believe that we should tank in order to get this guy coming up out of France who is, I guess, 7 foot whatever. He's taller than Chet Holmgren, is like apparently really, really good. And I'm going to give you my opinion on this because not every team is created equal, and I will say this. Okay, this is my opinion on it. Just my opinion. It's not a fact. Okay, this is just what I think. If your team has not won more than 33 games by the All-Star break, specifically 33, okay? If you have not won more than 33 games by the All-Star break, you should tank your ass off. That's what I think, okay? Because here's the reason, and there's reasoning behind it, okay? The first being, obviously, you would get a higher draft pick. If you purposely lose games, then you'll obviously get a higher draft pick, giving you a better chance to actually find a superstar player. That's the first thing, is presenting yourself with the opportunity. The second thing is you get your bench unit, you get your rookies, maybe some two-way guys, you get them some experience and see what you really got. You know what I'm saying? That gives you a chance to say, okay, well, what does our bench look like? Do we have a chance at making the playoffs? No. Okay, well, if we don't, then we're going to sit all our starters, let them go do what they want, or we're going to play them limited minutes. Maybe we'll switch it up, let the bench players start and let our starters come off the bench, okay, just so they get a little bit of burn. Personally, I wouldn't play him at all because you risk him getting injured, but I think that is the ultimate recipe to finding out, who you have, who's good on your team, and I also think it gives you the ability to get a solid player in the draft. Because, let's be honest, okay, the Indiana Pacers have been kind of the textbook definition of mediocrity the past couple years. Granted, injuries pending and all this other stuff. Obviously, you can't control injuries. But I think to myself, the Indiana Pacers are one of like a handful of teams in the NBA without a legitimate superstar player, right? And there's not many of them. Granted, the Orlando Magic, I think, just got their guy in Paolo Banchero. But if you look at the Detroit Pistons, they got Cade Cunningham, they got Jaden Ivey, they traded for Jalen Duren during the draft, and the next year or two, they're at the very least, at minimal, going to be a play-in team. They might even make the play-in this year, okay? Because I'm going to be honest, the East is pretty stacked, and even though Detroit is not the greatest team, they still have a solid young core to play with. So that might be enough to get them in the play-in this year. I actually think at this point, point, I'd say they're better than the Charlotte Hornets. So that's just what I think, right? Like, they're a team that at this point can at least make the play-in. The Pacers are nowhere near close to that yet. And I think to myself, I see all these people are saying, oh, well, we shouldn't get DeAndre Ayton because of X, Y, and Z. Oh, we're going to have to pay him a max contract and so on and so forth. And I just think to myself, man, like, there's no such thing as a middle-of-the-pack team in the NBA anymore. You're either really good or you're really bad, right? And honestly, only the really good teams make the playoffs, especially in the East at this point. And I think there's no such thing as just being an all-right NBA team in the NBA anymore. Because if you're just all-right, that means you're playing for a play-in spot. And with the way the East looks this upcoming year, the Pacers will be lucky to make the play-in. And I just think to myself, fans get so irate that they buy season tickets and all this other stuff, you know, and teams purposely lose or they purposely tank to get a high draft pick. Honestly, I would never buy season tickets to any team if they suck. Like, you better have championship ability in order for me to buy season tickets. Other than that, I feel like people shouldn't buy season tickets. I understand wanting to support your team. That's completely understandable, but for me, personally, I would never buy season tickets for a team that I know is not even going to make the playoffs, okay? Like, I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan. I would never buy season tickets to watch the Atlanta Falcons play right now. Let's put it that way. I'd go see a game, but I wouldn't buy season tickets, so I don't know why people do that. But I understand, like, season ticket holders get mad because it's like, oh, well, I came to see, you know, the star players play or the starters, and I got to go watch the bench players or whatever. And I understand that, but here's the thing. Here's the flip side of the coin, right? If you've got to give up one season, just one season, right, of your team being good, if just giving up one season means that you'll be a playoff team or a championship contender for the next 10 to 12, that's a loss I'm willing to take. I'm willing to ditch 1 year if it means we can get a player in the draft that means we end up in the playoffs for the next 15 years. Okay? And I feel like that's something a lot of owners don't understand. Owners particularly like Herb Simon, who worries so much about ticket sales but failed to realize that putting a good product on the floor means ticket sales. I mean, the Indiana Pacers were like, what, second to last in attendance last year because your team sucked. But if you put a product out there that's fun to watch, that wins, oh, suddenly people want to go to games. Suddenly people want to watch games. You know, oh, and God forbid you put a team on there that's, you know, championship contender or actually wins a championship, your $2 billion investment into the team turns into a $3 billion investment. Or in the case of the Golden State Warriors, maybe you buy the team for $1 to $2 billion and it ends up being worth $8 by the time you're done because you built a fucking dynasty. Okay? So it's just the idea that I feel like a lot of owners do what I like to call trip over the dollars to pick up the pennies. And what they would rather do is be conservative, save their money, never go over the luxury tax because they're worried about paying for it. Meanwhile, they should go over the luxury tax. They should go all in because I'm going to be honest, man. If you're not going to put a product out there to go all in every single year, why bother? Right? Like, part of being an adult is understanding when you need help with something, right? I understand people like to do stuff themselves. I'm one of those people. I don't like to ask anybody for help, right? But I get in situations like everybody else where it's like, you know what? I don't know as much about this as somebody else does. I'm acknowledging I need help. And there's a lot of teams in the NBA that need to put their pride away, such as the Indiana Pacers, and realize they need help. And if there's a guy in the draft like Cade Cunningham or John Morant or a Zion Williamson or a Kevin Durant or a LeBron James or a Kobe Bryant or a Kevin Garnett or something, okay, then perhaps for one season you put your pride away and go get your guy. Now, let's talk about the flip side of the coin because there are people out there, the anti-tankers, who like to make an argument that say, when has tanking ever won a team a championship? And honestly, it's never happened, okay? But I will say this, okay? Tanking at least gets you one step closer to winning a championship. Honestly, I don't know any team that's ever, tanked, drafted the guy they wanted, and then the next year were magically good, other than like the Boston Celtics with Larry Bird, maybe. I mean, they were just horrendous. They ended up getting Larry Bird, and then Larry Bird turned them into, a 55-win team or something like that this season he went there. So there's not a lot of teams in history where it's like just drafting a guy makes you an immediate championship contender, but there is such a thing as drafting a guy and immediately becoming a playoff contender. And if you can do that, if you can at least get you a guy that can get you to the playoffs every year, Memphis with Ja Morant, for example, and I feel like Detroit's got two guys that are going to do that for them, and Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham, and Jalen Duren, I think, has potentially Dwight Howard potential. Same thing with Mark Williams. They're two guys that I could see them ending up being like a Dwight Howard. If you could put something like that together, then it's like, wow, we don't suck anymore. We're at least a playoff team. Hey, people want to buy season tickets now because we have something exciting. Hey, people want to buy season tickets and come to games because we're actually good. We have a chance at winning a title. So all I'm saying is all these team owners who are too prideful to say, hey, we need help, or acknowledge that, hey, whatever we put on the floor is not going to be enough. What are you doing? Okay, so it's time. Teams need to do this. Okay, and not only that, but I think it makes the NBA a better product. That's another thing I see a lot of people talk about, is how, it tarnishes the brand, it tarnishes the product. Listen, man, we're in a league now where any player can go to any team they want. Look at Kevin Durant. He's still got, 3 or 4 years left on his contract, forced his way out of Brooklyn. Kyrie Irving just picked up his player option, got his way out of Brooklyn. James Harden forced his way out of Brooklyn. Okay, I think, I'm going to be honest with you, players forcing their way out of teams, I think hurts the NBA's image and reputation more than teams tanking. Okay? At least that doesn't end up in the news. You know what I'm saying? At least it doesn't end up in the news that Kevin Durant doesn't like the way the Brooklyn Nets are heading, or the direction they're heading in, and is forcing his way out of Brooklyn. And these are the teams I want to go to. I want to go to the teams that have the ability to win right now. If you ask me, that hurts the NBA more than tanking. So, I have my own opinions on tanking. I understand that, it's not a popular opinion. I understand people don't want to pay money to watch teams lose. I understand that. But as a fan, okay, I will say this. I will gladly accept 1 year of horrendous play if that means we can get a player in the draft who's going to put us in the playoffs for the next 15 years. So, that's my opinion on it. Tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on this. Helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more on the Fast Break Report. And out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.